Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another weekend here with us at Apollo Racing Club. This weekend we are going to be driving at the Imola circuit over in Italy, and it is going to be an exciting race, as anybody who is familiar with the circuit will know. It is such a fun track that they've actually had to modify it more than once to slow it down just to try and make it safer. It had a bit of a habit of killing drivers. So they've had to do quite a bit of modification just to give you any idea of what you are in for today. We are wrapping up the last couple of minutes of free practice as our drivers try to get the last setup changes that they can, try and tune in the car for the track before qualifying starts, which we should see here in just about a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to do something that I completely neglected to do last stream, which was to take an opportunity to talk about our partners and sponsors here at Apollo Racing Club. We certainly could not do it alone. So we want to send some big shout outs out to the folks who are helping make this all happen. We'll go ahead and start with the folks over at PitLink. They give us a platform to be able to do real-time timing and splits and map tracking for anybody who wants to watch that. Give me a reminder in the chat. I'll drop the link for that. Super cool. You can actually watch the splits in real time, so you can see what I am looking at over here from the commentator's booth. We also want to say a big thank you to Grid Finder. We are an approved Grid Finder league. If you're looking to get started with sim racing, it is about the best place to start looking. When you sign up with them, when you go to the page, they have a couple of real easy drop-down menus where you can select your relative region you want to race in, the game you want to drive in, as well as the class of car. Makes it really easy if you are just getting started in sim racing to find a league to get included in, and you will find us on that roster. In a similar vein, SimGrid, we say big thank you to them. They are the ones that help us orchestrate all of this chaos. They're the ones who help us keep track of the league, penalties, who's earning how many points, all that fun stuff. Also a very good resource for looking for races to get plugged in. If you're new to the community, they have daily races with people all around the world. Really, really easy way to get plugged in and start racing against other human beings. Tends to be a bit safer than the traditional Monza pubs, where you really only get to race for one or two corners. So a good place to start looking there. And then a final big ups to Driver61 for partnering with us. If you're not familiar with the YouTube channel, they are very well known for all things educational and motorsports, not just in Assetto Corsa, but also for the real world drivers out there who have problems with adrenaline like me and go and have fun at track days. Lots of resources in there as well to really take your driving up to the next level. Right now, we are waiting for qualifying to kick off. We've got a couple of drivers that are finishing up the last of their free practice laps. We've got one car that's finally around in the last corner. Shouldn't make it sound like we're waiting on them, but we're kind of waiting on them. And there we go. They just got teleported back into the pits. And here in just a moment, we're going to have the first of our pro driver, or our AM drivers, excuse me, making their way out on the track. Again, a reminder for anybody who's new here at Apollo Racing Club, we do have enough drivers, fortunately, where we can do a split qualifying session. So we've got the AM drivers come out first after 10 minutes, then we will let the pro drivers take the track, and they are starting their cold laps right now, so not too much to watch here, but let's go ahead and get our eyes over on the action. Give me just 1 second here to get the cameras switched around. All right, and... oh, wrong slide. There we go. Professional streamer, everybody. I know what I'm doing, and here we are. Let's give you some audio, and now we're streaming. So this is going to be the cold lap. This is not really for anything here other than for the drivers to get an opportunity to warm up their tires. Recent update to Assetto Corsa, the tire models got an update that actually makes them much more difficult to get up to temperature. So these drivers really are going to be focusing on getting their tires in the operating range so they have some shot at having a good first flying lap. But let's just take an opportunity to look around at all these liveries. Again, another thing that we do at Apollo Racing Club we're very proud of. We actually allow all of our drivers to have custom liveries, and it is really, really cool. As again, I'm a car guy. I understand wanting to put some love and attention into how my car looks, and all of these have been custom done, either by our drivers or their teammates. Right now we're taking a look at Joshua Kimball, one of the Apollo Racing Club mods here, and actually, fun fact, they all have matching cars. Let's see, Jeff Fleischman's in the pit right now, but you can see he's got identical skin right there. But if you look, there's a minor detail. They've all changed the highlight colors for the rear view mirrors and the wings. That's how we can tell them apart. Just one of those, little car guy things that we noticed. But yeah, so some super cool artwork out there from all of our drivers. Here's another one, Mark. Oh, man. I'm going to apologize right now. You're Mark today. I'm not going to try that last name. Oh, because I'm American and I struggle with last names. But we've got the first of our drivers on their hot laps. It's going to be led off by the number 12 car. Let's go ahead and take a look over at their lap right now. It's going to be Spencer Brown in the Omega Racing BMW, one of our Canadian drivers. Coming up into, let's see where they at. They're the second chicane. They're going to have a hairpin up here in just a moment. And reminder, so with the new tire model, these cars do not get their cars up into their tires up into the operating range in the first couple of laps like they used to. It takes a good 2-3 laps before they really get 100% of the grip out of these tires. So even still, even though this is their hot lap, this is the first one that actually counts for a lap time. They're not going to be able to push as hard as they want to here without losing control of the car right now. Spencer Brown doing a good job of keeping it just on the line there, not really pushing it too hard, keeping it going around the track, which is a good strategy. They've only got 10 minutes to set their qualifying time, and then they are stuck with it. So it is important to get a good, clean lap in on your first attempt so that you're not trying to figure that out with 2 minutes left in the qualifying session. Just 3 corners left here as he comes through the final chicane. We're going to come up into the double right-hander to finish off this lap, and then we'll have a good idea of what our amateur times are going to look like here at Imola. Any predictions, chat? Anybody who was already driving in the race and now they're just watching the stream? What do we think lap times are going to look like as we watch Spencer kind of lag around the screen? And if you're in chat and you're not talking to me, you're doing it wrong. We're getting you involved. We're going to have a conversation here. We're going to talk about the race. All right, so our first, wow, actually, oh my God. Okay, so first lap comes across the line. That's going to be a 1:42.9 out of Spencer Brown. That is actually a remarkably good time. We've got 2 more times coming across. Looks like N. Schwartz and Jan Stam coming across with 1:43.0 or 1:43.9 and another 1:43.9. Just 18 100ths of a second between those drivers. And we've got another one coming across the line. Number 35, our Reader, sets a 1:43.9. So our top 4 right now. Okay, we got another one coming. They're all coming in too fast. I can't keep up with them. Arthur Chu comes in with a minor improvement on second place with a 1:43.8. And looks like our last couple of drivers are coming across start-finish line right now, but that is going to be our first 7 finishing qualifying. We're going to hang out with Arthur Chu here. Just get some looks at all of the different liveries we've got set up here. Not a whole lot to talk about yet here, but let's go ahead and hop forward in the grid back to the number 12 car. Actually, excuse me, we're going to take a look at the number 14 car of Mark over here. Currently a half second, 6 tenths and growing up on their previous lap time, so we might see an improvement here. Let's see, the half second they're hanging on to right now would be enough of an improvement to bump them up 2 positions. Actually, no, several positions, 7 tenths now, just really pulling in that time in a hurry. And that is probably a result, like I was saying, of the tires are now starting to get into the operating ranges. We're going to start seeing these drivers improve their times. Another person who is up on a flyer, Rick Reeder in the number 35 BMW, is a half second up, but not to be outdone by Mark, who we're watching here, is now 7 tenths up on the lap. Just 2 turns left to go in the circuit. Still 2 turns for them to make an improvement on the lap time. Let's see what they're able to pull off here. They're going to be hard onto the brakes, throw it in there. Nice kiss of the apex there, lets it all the way out, really using all of the track. Yep, gets just inside of the sausage curbing, and a good exit it looks like, and the Delta reflects that. Now 8 tenths up on the lap time is going to be a massive improvement if they can hang on to it here. They got to be careful. It is possible to invalidate the lap on the inside there, but looks like they're aware of that because they keep it on the track, and they are going to post a 1:44.3. Almost a 1 second improvement on their previous lap time, now within just 4 tenths of the rest of the competition. Arthur Chu now getting ready about halfway through the first sector here. 2 tenths up on the lap. We'll keep an eye on Arthur as he begins his next qualifying lap. 3 minutes and 30 seconds left here until the pros are allowed to begin their laps. And we just saw, it looks like an improvement from Spencer Brown. Nope, excuse me. No, Arton Green in the number 82 BMW. Just took second place with a 143.0, 3/10 ahead of third place, less than a tenth away from first place. We'll see if he's able to make that improvement there, but let's go ahead and hop back over with Arthur Chu. Was looking like it was going to be a good lap, was 4/10 up, but looks like it got a bad exit out of that corner before Aqua Minerale, and is now going to be struggling to get that lap time back. Currently deadlocked with their previous best lap. Let's look at Andre Lloyd, currently a 10th up, just a couple of corners, actually right behind Arthur Chu. A little bumpy there on the chicane, took a little bit too much of that corner. It does seem to affect the lap time, but they are able to get a pretty solid exit, really planted their right foot, got the throttle down early. 3/10 up on the lap is going to be enough for a position change if Andre can hang on to it. Let's see what he does with these last two corners. Really, yep, good. Like to see them using all the track. Imola is very similar to Misano, if you're familiar with that circuit. Really got to capitalize on using as much of the pavement as you can if you want to have a good lap time. And Andre is doing that perfectly. Now 4/10 up on the lap. Looks like they're going to hang on to that lead. And that is going to move them up 2 positions. Now sitting on provisional third with a 143.3 out of Andre Lloyd in the number 937 BMW. We've got a couple of people out on some pretty fast laps here. Let's take a look at Nick Schwartz. Haven't seen them on the stream yet. 3/10 up in the Delta right now, coming up into, let's see where they are. Yep, that's Aqua Minerale. And they're going to be up into the chicane here. It does look like it was a good exit for them up the hill. Are going to hang on to that 3/10 lead. And I don't want to hop away too soon, but we've got 2 other drivers on some pretty fast laps. Cody Barrett right now, 4/10 up in the Delta. Arthur Chu also with a half-second improvement in the Delta right now. We'll see if they're able to hang on to it. But we're going to hang out with Nick Schwartz here. Let's see here. Oh, something lap about to cross the line. Crosses the line with a massive 7/10 improvement. Moves them up into third place. I'm glad I caught that so we can see them coming across the line. But now we got to watch Cody Barrett here. Let's see, where is he? Just got out of Aqua Minerale, coming up into the chicane that has 2 death curves. Very easy to upset the car here and end out way wide on the track, but takes it nearly flawlessly. Finds a 10th in the Delta there coming out of the chicane. 8/10 currently right now, potentially in range for a 1-second improvement if they do a good job coming through these last 2 corners here. They're hanging on to that 8/10. Let's see if they get a good exit down the final straight here. Looks like the time's bleeding away. Can they hang on to it though? Now 7/10 here. That is going to be a massive improvement for Cody Barrett if he can hang on to it. Just a couple of meters left. Just got to remember, don't invalidate on the inside here. They managed to do it, and that is going to be another usurper of the 3rd place position, and it is immediately taken away by Arthur Chu, just a couple of meters behind now. These 2 drivers now going to be fighting for 3rd place, and there is less than a 10th between the 2 of them. And they have just this one final lap to figure out who is going to hang on to 3rd place, unless anybody else has something to say about it. Jan Stam right now just getting out of that chicane, coming up into the final 3 corners of the track. 7/10 up in the Delta. We'll take a look back at Cody Barrett and Arthur Chu here in a little bit. It looks like Cody might be retiring this lap. 7 seconds down in the Delta, so probably not going to see a performance there. Arthur Chu still working their way around the track. 4/10 down, though. May not see an improvement this lap. So we're going to hang out with Jan Stam here. 8/10 up in the Delta, which would be enough for, let's see, 1, 2, several positions change. Actually, is going to be enough to put them in 4th place, potentially. 9/10 now, looking at 3rd place. Crosses the start-finish line, and they are going to snag it with a 142.9. It is immediately taken away by another driver. Max Sundenlab comes across and takes 2nd place, bumping Ayrton Green down into 3rd, and Jan Stam into 4th with a 142.8 at the final second of qualifying here. And something I want to draw everybody's attention to, there is 1/100th of a second between 1st and 2nd place right now. It is going to be very close in the AM split, but our pro drivers are out on the track now. They're going to take their opportunity to get these tires up to temperature, and we're going to see what these times are looking like when stacked against the competition. Daniel Wright is our winner. No, did not win at Bathurst, got boxed out a little bit, but a traditionally very, very fast driver here at Apollo Racing Club. And based on the practice times, I think we're going to see something pretty stunning out of him today. Was putting down some crazy fast times. We'll see if he's able to do it during qualifying, because that is where it counts. Let's see. Yeah, he is first out for the pro split. No, excuse me. Number 543 is out in front of him. That's going to be Michael Yaknes, another driver we saw a very strong performance out of Bathurst last week. Didn't get to see a lot of Michael's practice this race, so it'll be interesting to see what they pull off in qualifying. We'll keep our eyes on him. as he is going to be the first one to finish a hot lap here, and he's got Daniel Wright closely in tow. Keep an eye on that gap, folks. This is going to be our first time to see where these two drivers stack up against one another, and as we saw, they were essentially neck and neck at Bathurst, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do during qualifying here as Michael Yaknes starts his qualifying lap here at Imola. And Daniel Wright closely in tow just behind. Somehow I'm seeing a delta change. I'm not sure what happened there. We don't know what his lap time looks like yet. Couple of other pros out on their cold laps. Let's go ahead and take a look at the cars here. Ooh, and Michael Yaknes misses the corner. Is going to have to let Daniel Wright get around him. And that is a rough start to qualifying for Michael Yaknes there. Now really going to have to focus on making those last couple of laps he's got in these final 7.5 minutes really count. There's going to be some extra pressure that I'm sure that they didn't need to deal with. Either that or they saw Daniel Wright coming up behind him and maybe they just don't think they have the pace. Who knows? Could have been a decision just to let the faster driver pass. And we'll see if that was the right call once the qualifying times start coming in. And just a reminder of your, I'm just getting back to the pit view just so we can actually see the leaderboard over there on the left-hand side. So the provisional pole is going to be Spencer Brown in first place, Max Suthenlap in second, Ayrton Green in third, who is currently still out on a qualifying lap, which is not correct, but we'll see what the stewards have to say with that. Maybe they didn't get the memo. It's a split qualifying. I don't recognize the name, but I also missed a race this season already, so that might just be on me. Got our eyes back on Daniel Wright as he's going to be our first pro qualifying lap to cross the line here. We're going to get our first idea of what these times are going to look like, and based on where he's at right now, this is going to be a good lap. All right, final little bend there, keeps it nice and on the outside, and he's going to cross the line with an invalid lap time, but it was a 141.9, which would be enough to put him commandingly in first place. That would be 9/10 improvement on provisional pole right now. We'll see if he's able to do it again, but with a valid lap time. Andrew Yaske coming across the line right now, or coming around the final bend, but we know that's not going to be a valid lap time because he had to miss a corner. Still does it in a 142.5. Wait, that was valid? How is that valid? Okay, that was valid. Either way, we now have two pro times coming across. Oh, that's because I'm thinking of the wrong Y-sounding last name. That was Michael Yaknes, not Andrew Jaske. We were watching there. My bad. I'm bad at names. I've said it 1,000 times. Now it's 1,001. So that is going to be provisional pole for Andrew Jaske with a 142.5, boxing out the AM pole by 2.5 followed closely by Oscar Liu, who was our race winner at Bathurst, just a hair under a tenth behind Andrew Yaske. Oh man, is it Yaske or Jaske? I know you DM'd me. I'm going to go look it up right now. Words are hard, folks. Words are hard. It is Jaske. I'll get it wrong again, I promise. Let's see if we've got any other action. Actually, let's go ahead and hop back over to Daniel Wright. Currently a 1.5 seconds up on the previous lap. Yeah, what the hell? We caught it just in time. The man sets a 141.8, which is a little over, almost 7/10 improvement on provisional pole. So, and Michael Yaknes crosses the line there, getting the valid lap in with a 142.6. And that is going to be our pro lineup so far. Daniel Wright with a commanding lead in first place of almost 7/10. Oscar Liu and Andrew are going to have some work to do if they want to snag that first place starting position from him. We'll see if they're able to pull it off. Let's go ahead and hop over to Ice 10. Currently on a good lap with just 2 corners left to go here. Really using every inch of that pavement. Good kiss of the inside apex there. Using the runoff there, getting out on the rumble strips, and now they can start their charge around the pit straight. Currently 1.1 seconds up in the Delta. Going to be a big improvement for them if they can hang on to it, if it's valid. It sure looks like it was, and that is going to be second place for Ice 10 now in a 142.5 even, putting him 0.6 down on Daniel Wright, but now in very close contention for third place. Andrew Jaske is going to have to do a little bit of work if he wants to snag that away. Let's see, just now coming around the infamous hairpin here at Imola. Still got 2 sectors of the lap to make an improvement here. Currently dead set on the Delta. Let's take a look at Andre Alfonso. 1.1 seconds up in the Delta, just crosses the second sector line, coming into Aqua Minerale, beginning the charge up the hill into the final chicane. And it looks like just got a little bit loose on there in the rear. Now just a sec, well, I should say just a second up in the Delta. They were a little bit more, but still a second improvement is going to be a big one. And we've got another contender now in the top 3. It looks like Jeff Cohn in the number 11 BMW sneaks in with a with second place as Daniel Wright improves on the lap time, with a 141.5, shaves a couple of 0.3 off of the Delta there. Oh, I've got some hiccups. Making the gap between first and second just that much larger. But let's go ahead and hop back to Andre Alfonso here in the number 999 BMW, finally getting his chance to drive a BMW that's got a modern BOP, and it looks like it's working for him because he is 1.1 seconds up in the Delta. He does hang on to it, and that is going to be third place for our driver here with a 142.4, boxing out Ice Tin by just a couple hundredths of a second now. This is going to get exciting, folks. Let's go ahead and take a look at Rogerio Santos. Coming around Aqua Minerale right now. 0.3 up in the Delta. Looks like it was a good exit for him because that time is getting smaller. He's now at half second up in the Delta as he makes his way up into the chicane. Let's see how he manages this. Looks like got just the right amount of curve on both of those. Now 0.6 up in the Delta. And this is going to be a pretty big improvement if he's able to hang on to it. Looks like the Delta's just right on the line. Now 3 corners left for our driver here. Let's see what they're able to do coming into the final of the 2 corners. Hide under the brakes, really throw it into the apex. Got a good look at that. And we're seeing our drivers doing an excellent job of demonstrating exactly how to take this corner, really using all of the track, which is very important here, as I was saying earlier in the qualifying session. And yep, good final corner. Let's see what they're able to do. 0.6 improvement. They're going to move from 19th to 16th. 3 positions improved for Rogerio Santos there. Going to move them up into 16th place. Let's see if anybody else is on an improvement. Yeah, Craig Bray just got out of the chicane. We were just watching another one of our Apollo Racing Club mods here. You can tell by the livery. There's 3 of those cars out on the track today. Again, take a look at that rear wing. He has got purple there. That's how you're going to know it's Krieg's in the number 709 BMW. Now 0.9 up in the Delta. Fantastic last couple of turns for our driver here. And now just has to get across the line without finding some way to spoil it. And that is going to be a big improvement for him. 0.9 up in the Delta. Can he find the second improvement? He does, and sets a 144.0. And that is going to be 20th place for Craig's here. Question in the chat, what happened to Fleischmann? No valid laps. Good question. Must have been the case. Didn't see him setting any times, so I didn't think to pull him up and check what happens. Must have been the case, either that or just missed qualifying or wanted to start from last. You never know. Sometimes last to first challenge is fun when you're down in points, which I actually don't know where he is in the leaderboard, so who knows. Chalk that up to things I probably should know better, but don't. But it looks like Daniel Wright is going to be our pole sitter with a 141.5, which is just a bonkers lap time, but he is finding a way to outdo himself. Currently 0.2, 0.3 up on the previous lap time. We may see a 141.2 here if he's able to keep it going at the pace he's going. Just 2 corners left in the lap, and we are going to see if he's able to hang on to it. Now 0.4 up. Come on, hang on to it. Hang on to it. I want to see it. I want to see a 141 dead. Make it happen. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. He is going to be able to post an improvement here. 0.3 up in the Delta as he comes around the final bend. And that's looking like it's going to be a 141.2. Let's see if I'm right. 141.2. And he outdoes himself with no seconds left on the clock, putting a second between him and second place. But we have one more shot at seeing somebody in the final, or in the top 3, Alfonso. Now 0.3 up in the Delta, much more than he needs to be able to hang on to this. This may even potentially be a second place qualifying for our driver as he comes around the final bend. 0.4 up in the Delta now. All he's got to do is keep it valid. You just have one bend. Oh, and he puts it in the pits. What is he doing? That was second place. Oh no, what happened there? I have no idea what I just watched. I'm confused. I don't understand. BRL Phantom in the chat saying, damn, 7th place. Yeah, but I mean, are you looking at these lap times, my dude? These are not slow lap times. These all of our drivers putting on a very good performance. Daniel Wright especially with a 141.2. I don't know how the man does it. I'm convinced he's not a man. I'm convinced he's an alien because he puts in qualifying times like that, and I just don't understand them. But that does look like that is going to be our qualifying. Looks like we have a couple of cars left out on the track. Actually, just one car out on the track, going to be Ice Tin, trying to get that last final opportunity to try and get a good lap time in. Does not post the improvement. Going to finish in 6th place with a 142.5 even. And that is going to be qualifying, folks. So just a rundown of our top 10. We've got Daniel Wright in 1st place with a 141.2. 2nd place with a 142.2. A 10th and 6 100ths, or excuse me, a 2nd and a couple of 100ths behind 1st place. But very, very close in tow is going to be Jeff Cohn in 3rd place, just 2 100ths of a second off from 2nd. Folks, this is going to be a close race, and at a track like Imola, it is going to be an exciting one. All right, we've got a couple of minutes to kill. Those of you who are drivers or frequent viewers, let's get some predictions. Do we think Daniel Wright's going to be able to hang on to it, or are we going to see Michael Yaknes or John Cohn make their way, or Jeff Cohn, excuse me, make their way up and take 1st place? Oscar Liu, also not a driver to forget about, snuck in with the win at Bathurst, just with a consistent drive. You know, it's said all the time, being quick in a hot lap is not the ticket to winning races. Being consistent is, and Oscar really did execute that successfully last week at Bathurst, taking probably the least amount of damage out of all of the drivers, and was able to save themselves some time in the pits. And that did lead to a race win for him. We'll see if he's able to pull it off again. But Afonso had quite the lap time there before he put it into the pits. Not entirely sure what happened there, but we will see what he's able to do. Let's go ahead and I'm going to get over here. We're going to take manual control of these cars here. Let's do a walk of the grid here, folks. Let's take a look at those liveries I was talking about earlier. Again, folks, these are all custom done by our drivers. They all decide what their car wants to look like, and this is their chance to put a personal spin on their car. And I do the same thing. It's a labor of love. It's not easy to do. Really is exciting for me to see. I mean, look at this car right here. The number 101 BMW right here, Jan Stam. Fantastic work, because that's all custom done, folks, with the logos and everything. Just really look at that. And there are several in here that are of similar quality, but you gotta love the passion of these drivers that not only put time into learning how to drive these cars quickly, but make them look cool at the same time. You'll love to see it, and we'll go ahead and flip the camera around here at the back. Take a look at these cars as we make our way back up. Just trying to find a way to fill in this last minute of time. We're solo commentating this race and just trying to keep everybody entertained. Cider 6 in the chat. Wright has the consistency, I think. Probably good fight. Might depend on the pits and blue flags. Yeah, that is very true. It's not the longest of all of the circuits, so blue flags are going to be a reality for our faster drivers. It's going to come down to how easily they are able to get around everybody. Again, for anybody who's an F1 fan and are familiar with the flag rules over there, in GT car racing, a blue flag is not an obligation to yield a position to the passing car. It is just a suggestion that you shouldn't defend. So unlike in F1, where if you get blue flagged, you got to dive out of the way in a corner or two, or else you pick up a penalty. Very different atmosphere here in GT car racing. So it really does sometimes come down to luck and whether or not the blue flags are going to be respectful or not. But I'll go ahead and give everybody advice. It is slower for everybody involved to try and defend against a faster driver, especially if it's not for position. All right, so now we are going to begin our formation lap here. This is the driver's last chances to get their tires up into operating temperature. There's not enough time to do it, so really is just trying to get as much temperature into the brakes and the tires as you can to have some shot at having at least warm tires at the beginning of the race. Otherwise, you're basically starting on ice. And in these GT3 cars, they have a little bit easier of a time of it because they do have the tire blankets out of the pits, so they do start at least close to operating temperature, unlike their GT4 counterparts. But even still, they've got to keep the cars going slow. They can't start racing yet, so it really is just temperature management is all that's going through these drivers' heads right now. Let's go ahead and hop in the Helicam and take a look at the middle of the grid and get a good idea of what the track looks like as we make our way around it before we start going full speed here. And you can see just how tight some of these corners are when you start to pay attention to just how much how many, pay attention to car lengths, right? So you've got a car width to try and judge how much room there is. And when you try to put one car next to the other, you start to realize just how little room these cars have on this track when you are pushing them around some of these corners in excess of 150 miles an hour in some cases. Yep, we can see these drivers just doing anything that they can to try and get some temperature into those tires, weaving around, trying to generate some extra friction. Try and just get heat in there. Like I was mentioning earlier, you really got to pay attention to your tire temperatures now with the newer patch of the game. It is much more important than it used to be. And something that's going to especially make this race even more exciting, and something I love about the mini-series that we're doing, is everybody is in the same car. The only thing that's different between them are the paint job, the setup, and the driver. So it really is a battle of drivers here at Imola this week. Very much looking forward to seeing how it unfolds. We've got just a couple of corners left before we see the green flags and kick off this race. I want to say a big thank you again to all of our sponsors and partners that I talked about. You can see them displayed there in the bottom left-hand side of your screen. Definitely hit them up. Tell them we sent you. Helps everybody out. But that is going to do it for the pre-race. Now we are coming around the final two cars. Our drivers are going to be instructed to line up double file as we get ready to start this race. Unlike at Bathurst, it looks like we have a clear weather forecast, so we might actually have a one solid race where we've got good road conditions and no weather trying to throw everybody for a loop. Let's keep our fingers crossed for our drivers so that they don't have to try and figure out what they're going to do on the fly like they did in Australia last week. But here we go. Everybody lining up double file. We'll take one last look at the middle and the back of the grid before we start this. And that is going to do it for me. Now we just wait. We just wait for the green flag to wave. And any second now, once they come around this corner. And there is the green light, and the race is underway here in Italy as we watch. Actually, it's going to be a three-way race for the first corner. We've got Oscar Liu and Michael Yaknes side by side coming down in the first corner, and Oscar Liu giving a little bit of a squeeze there on the inside, but both drivers leaving themselves room that you're not going to win, or well, you can lose in the first corner, but you're definitely not going to win the race. Daniel Wright pulling away. Let's take a look at the back of the grid, see if anything is going on there. I'm going to be really jumping around here, folks. I don't have somebody spotting for me to tell me if there's any action going on in the back, so I am going to be trying my best to keep track of everything right now. Middle of the grid, keeping things nice and clean here. Ooh, getting bunched up a little bit there. You can see those two cars right there coming around the apex, almost touching each other. Let's take a look back at the front right now. Daniel Wright has Oscar Liu right on his rear bumper. Like we were saying, Oscar Liu is a sneaky one. He is consistent, and he is going to get those lap times in solid, and you can see him chasing down Daniel Wright now, and it looks like he's making a lunge for him on the inside there. No yellow flags yet, which means our drivers are doing a good job of keeping it clean. But right now we're going to see two cars entering in that high-speed corner right there, really pushing that outside BMW off the track there a little bit, but a completely legal move now as they come down into Aqua Minerale. Let's see if he's able to keep it clean here. Really, really tricky corner here. We'll get a different camera angle so you can see just how tricky that corner is. But our driver's doing a good job of keeping things nice and clean, getting single file, not really trying to beat each other up in the first lap, which is good for everybody. 58 minutes left in this race. Don't want to start picking up damage this early on. Let's hop back up to Daniel Wright and Oscar Liu as this battle rages on. Let's go ahead and hop down to the TV cameras as they come around that final corner there. And we are about to be done with our first lap here at Imola. Nice and drama-free, not something that you see a whole lot here. Something we really try to pride ourselves here at Apollo Racing Club. Dude, try to keep things clean as often as possible. And that is going to be our first lap here at Imola. And it's going to be, well, these lap times don't matter because they didn't start at full speed. So we'll get a good idea of what the pace looks like later on here. But so far, still no yellow flags. Great job to all of our drivers. I'm honestly surprised Imola tends to get a little bit crazy with some of those S-curves. You really can run out of space before you realize what's happening here. Let's take a look at Renato Ferreira here. Under fire from a BMW right behind that is going to be Rick Reeder right on his tail. And this is going to be, let's see, that's a battle for 15th here. Andre Lloyd having to defend those two, gets the back end loose, puts him out in the sand, and that is going to be some positions lost as he tries to find his way back onto the track without running any of the other drivers off the track there. Manages to sneak in on the apex there, picks up a little bit of contact from the car behind. That's going to be, that's Dylan Kaiser there in that BMW, giving him a little bit of contact to the rear end. Neither car got upset enough for it to be a problem. But that really just does give you a sense of how tight the margins are between these cars. All it takes is one little lapse of judgment as we watch Andre Lloyd get run a little bit wide there, carries a bit too much speed trying to compete with Dylan Kaiser there. But unfortunately, that's going to be a position loss for Andre Lloyd. Let's go ahead and take a look back at the battle for first. Bit of a gap is developing here. Looks like Oscar Liu must have made a mistake. Michael Yaknes now in second place, Oscar Liu in third. Let's see here. We got an even tighter battle here developing for sixth place. I really am trying to get everybody on camera here. Ice Tin right now trying to battle with Spencer Brown, who's trying to take sixth place away from him. Just a half second between these two cars, and that is going to be the closest gap on the track right now. As we see, actually, this is more of a battle for fifth because we've got Andre Alfonso not far out in front of these three. And actually, we do have a yellow flag. Looks like somebody got spun around in the chicane there, the number 937 car. That is going to be, oh, that's going to be Andre Lloyd, who we were just watching, right as the camera looks away. And it looks like they must have just gotten spun around on that curb. It's called a death curb for a reason. It ends laps. Let's see. Let's actually take a look at the car. Let's just hope that there's no damage on the car. Ooh, that's some front end damage. That's not great. All right, we'll let them figure that out. Let's get them off of camera. Looks like they're going to go into the pits and try and repair it. Let's go ahead and hop back over with Ice Tin, who's still in the battle for fifth place. Slowly closing the gap to Andre Alfonso. Trying to reel him in, but what's even more exciting actually is now the gap between Michael Yaknes and Oscar Liu, and I don't think that we can look away from this in good conscience because look at how close these cars are. They're going to battle it out for the apex. Oscar Liu backs out at the last second, but Michael Yaknes pushed wide out into the runoff there, which is going to probably be a track warning. He's got to be careful about those, but he is defending for his life right now because Oscar Liu giving him zero room to work with. And if we wanted to just take a look at really how close they are as they're coming up this straight, okay, maybe not the best example to hop on right there. Really better under braking, but just less than a half a second between these cars. Oscar Liu gets a little bit wide, runs onto the rumble strips there. It's going to upset the car, and yeah, now we can see just a couple of mistakes on corners there. And Michael Yaknes already putting what was previously 0.2 of a second, turning it into 7. Found a half second there in just a couple of corners, and that is all it takes as we watch actually Daniel Wright growing the gap there as well. Take a look back at Ice 10, still under fire from that car behind is going to be Spencer Brown, who we saw was our provisional pole for our AM drivers, if I remember correctly, and is currently our first place in the AM split. Chasing him down as they are finishing now. There we are 3 laps into this race. We're going to take a look back at this battle for second place. Michael Yaknes and Oscar Liu still battling it out. Daniel Wright not growing as much of a gap as I'm sure he wants to because the next 3 cars behind him are all within a second of him right now. Excuse me, second and a half, I should say. Ooh, you can see just how close Oscar Liu is getting to the rear end of the BMW in front of Michael Yaknes. Not sure if that's impatience or if he just truly is faster and got past during a mistake, but we will see. 6 minutes has passed so far at this race here at Imola, and we've already had action for every second here. Let's go ahead and hop back to Max Southernlap, who is currently under fire, battling for 9th place. Jan Stam right behind him, trying to take that position away, but as we saw, ran a little bit wide on the exit, and that is going to let Mac take off a little bit with almost a half-second gap grown there. It does look like we've got a bit of a battle for 15th as well. Craig Bray, one of our ARC mods, currently under fire from Dylan Kaiser in the car behind. Coming around Aqua Minerale. And now down into the chicane. We'll see if something happens here. And these yellow corners, or yellow curbs over there on the left-hand side of your screen and then over the right there are what I'm talking about with the death curbs. When you hit them just wrong with these GT3 cars, because they are so stiff, you can actually upset the balance of the entire car and you can throw yourself off into the wall. Even with such a low-speed corner, it is a sketchy one if you take it just wrong. But both of our drivers here that we're watching on camera right now doing a good job of negotiating that successfully. And they're going to continue this battle. And actually just out in front of them, you can see it looks like our Cody Barrett is having a little bit of trouble with Rick Reeder trying to chase him down. And it is difficult to try and keep track of where all these battles are happening. There are several of them, battles for position that are less than a half second between the cars. I am doing my best to try and keep track of all of them by myself, folks. I'm doing the best I can here. You know, let's take a look up here at the battle for first, because actually the gap for Daniel Wright and Michael Yaknes has gotten smaller, with Michael Yaknes putting the current race best lap, setting a 142.4, boxing out Daniel Wright by 1/10 of a second. And actually Oscar Liu has improved on that by a little over a tenth with a 142.3, but it was not a valid lap, so that's why we don't see the pink banner next to his name. But all three of these drivers putting on a very, very good performance, considering that their lap times were all within a second of what qualifying was. Good consistency out of them, but really the only time difference we're seeing right now is fuel load. But we are watching this gap from Daniel Wright and Michael Yaknes get smaller by the corner, and now we've got a three-car battle for first. All right, let's hop back to Ice 10, coming around the last two corners here. And that is going to be the BMW of Spencer Brown. Right now, our AM first place driver, followed shortly by Andrew Jaski in that blue and green BMW we see there in the back. And let's keep an eye on these guys going into the first couple of corners here. A lot can happen in a short amount of time. An update on the gap for Daniel Wright. It is now less than a half a second. When we were watching earlier, it was about 6 to 7 tenths on average, but now it is getting smaller. Michael Yaknes also picking up some company now. Actually, that gap is getting small enough to where I want to take a look, but let's keep our cameras on Ice Tin and the others here battling it out for fifth place. Okay, I can't look away. That gap's getting too small. Michael Yaknes under fire from our race winner at Bathurst, Oscar Liu. You can see just how close they are. We're going to keep the camera on here as they come into Aqua Minerale here in just one corner. We're going to see how close they're getting under braking, because that is when these cars are going to be at their closest. And we've got a yellow flag, number 177 in the first corner. That's going to be Rogerio Santos. Looks like they got spun around there and they're off the track trying to get it back over there. Oscar Liu keeping a safe distance to Michael Yaknes. And you know, like we were talking to Bathurst, his strategy was not an aggressive one. It was a conservative and consistent one, and that did win him the race last week. We'll see if the same thing pays off here. We saw what was once a 2/10 gap water back down to a half second, but that does not mean that the race is over. Let's go ahead and hop back in the grid to Spencer Brown, who we were just watching a little bit ago. See if he's able to put on a defense against Andrew Jaski, one of our pro drivers. So what we're watching here, folks, is actually a battle between two different class of drivers. We've got an amateur in front, a pro behind. So the pressure is on Spencer Brown in front to try and put on the best defense he can and hang on to that 7th place against a, at least as far as the bracket is concerned, faster driver. And another reminder, if anybody is joining us now, this is the BMW Cup here. It is a mini series that we're putting on where everybody is in the new BMW M4 GT3. Just our little celebration of the new car that we got from Kunos, the developers. And it is a good opportunity for everybody to get in here on this car, because when they released the car, it was a little bit broken. There are some parameters of the car that aren't exactly realistic, which allows it to be a bit overpowered at most tracks, which is why it's so much fun to drive. But no excuses for many of our drivers here at Imola, because they are all in the same car. Battle for first is tightening up again now, just a half second between Daniel Wright and Michael Yaknes. Oscar Liu seems to have fallen off a little bit, actually. Is that just the splits being weird, or? Nope, that is not the splits being weird. Just a bit of a gap has developed there. Let's hop up to Daniel Wright here. Michael Yaknes got to be eyeballing first place here, considering he has been tailing Daniel Wright now for this entire race now. 12 minutes just lapsed here at Imola, and this gap has gone from large to small. I'm not sure if that's Michael speeding up or if Daniel Wright is slowing down, although if the lap times are anything to base what these positions should be, we've got Daniel Wright with a 142.197 and Michael Yaknes with a 142.190. 7 1,000ths of a second separate these two drivers right now. And it looks like, let's see, previous laps here. Yeah, Michael Yaknes still edging out Daniel Wright by just a little bit, but Daniel Wright does snag the fastest lap of the race with a 142.19. So posting an 8/1000th improvement on the previous lap, which really does just speak to the consistency of these drivers. Not only are they fast, they're fast all the time. And that is why we call them aliens, because humans make mistakes. These guys do not. But as you can see, now Oscar Liu back in contention for second place as Daniel Wright puts that gap back between him and Michael Yaknes. And now Michael Yaknes under fire from Oscar Liu. The battle for second place has picked up some heat again as they come around the fast left-hander there, right-hander. I know my directions, down into Aqua Minerale here. We'll see Oscar Liu looks up the inside, thinks better of it. I don't think he's actually going to try and make a move there. I think that was just trying to get inside the head of Michael Yaknes, which is what you got to do when you are battling for position. But we've got to hop back a couple of cars. We've got a 4-car battle for 5th place developing behind Andre Alfonso in the number 999 BMW here. And it may not look like those cars are too close to one another, but when you're talking about a lap that is only a minute and 40 to a minute and 50 seconds long, those half-second gaps are very, very tight. In fact, let's go ahead. We're going to hop a car back. We're going to hop on board with Ice Tin here, and we're going to take a look at just what he is seeing here. And what looks so far away on the cameras, you can see just how close it is, and that is because he's closing the gap there. We're going to see him look on the outside of the corner. Is he going to be able to hang on to it? Let's hop on the TV camera so we can get an idea, or Helicam camera, so we can see how close these are. He is going to have the inside line coming into turn 1. It looks like he's got the speed to get in front of him before there. Is Alfonso going to try something on the inside? Could he go for the late break? It doesn't look like he's going to go for it, and that is going to be a successful pass by Ice 10, but he runs inside, and now we've got Spencer Brown entering into contention now. These 3 cars right on top of each other. It does look like Ice 10's able to hang on to that position. Doesn't manage to, Spencer Brown doesn't manage to get around him. But, runs wide there a little bit, overcooks it, and that is going to be the position back to Andre Alfonso. Now, Spencer Brown getting around on the outside. Maybe it's a tough spot to pass there, that hairpin. Ice 10 is going to box him out just barely by inches now. Let's go ahead and move the cameras back to Spencer Brown, as now he is going to be trying to fight for that position out of Ice 10 here. Our Canadian driver really putting him under pressure coming into this fast right-hand corner. And now down into Aqua Minerale, let's see what he is able to pull off here. Looks like Andre Alfonso is going to be able to get out in front of them. Now that he has clean air, he can really push. He's going to get all of the advantage from the aerodynamics of his car that the other 2 cars are not. And you can see just how tight these cars are packed on top of one another. Less than 3/10 or 5/10 between all 3 of them. But it does look like Spencer is just barely hanging on, but he's under pressure from Jasky right behind him. So that battle between the Am and the Pro is going to be heating up now. They're coming down into the final 2 corners, and he is going to have a run on the inside here. That is the line to have going into this corner. And we're going to see if Jasky's able to hang on to it. It does look like Spencer backs out a little bit early, got on the brakes first, and that is going to allow Spencer to make the lunge up on the inside, gets the position. We'll see if he's able to hang on to it. It does look like it's going to be his coming around the final corner here. And that is going to be another pass for Andrew Jasky, moving up into 7th place now. We're just going to wait for the splits to update there. But Andre Alfonso now in the clean air, not even on the same camera shot as those other 2 cars. We'll see if he's able to keep that gap going. And what a lap here at Imola, folks. That was 3 cars past. That's not something you get to see happen often in one lap, but that is why I love doing what I'm doing right now. Really just test how excited I can get about something. But let's go ahead and take a look at the battle for second. Michael Yaknes still has Oscar Liu in his rear view mirror. Oscar Liu doing a great job of keeping up the pressure, which is going to be forcing Michael Yaknes to focus less on trying to catch Daniel Wright and more on trying to hang on to second. As he learned at Bathurst, Oscar Liu, a force to be reckoned with once we get into the later stages of the race. But as we were saying earlier, Andre Alfonso had put a gap there. It is closed already. Ice 10, just in a couple of corners, has turned what was over a 1-second gap into a half-second gap between these 2 cars. And the battle for 5th place is going to rage on out of the exit of Aqua Minerale down into the chicane here. Let's see if something is going to happen. I don't think he's close enough to make a move on the inside, but he is going to be in striking distance for the final 2 corners if he gets a good exit. And it does look like he's going to. Ice 10 right on the rear bumper. Let's take a look at that wing camera. Look at him as they do. It is a drag race down into the final 2 corners here. And it looks like Andre is going to be able to hang on to it. Just not enough room. Oh, but he overcooks it. He overcooks the entry of that corner, and that is going to allow Ice 10 to have the inside line. And now it's going to be a drag race around the final corner, and that is going to be a successful pass for Ice 10 now. Andrew Jaski looking up the inside of Andre Alfonso here. As they come around the pit straight, coming into turn 1, let's see what's going to happen here, folks. It is not over yet. The battle for 5th place is now being led by Ice 10 as we come into the first corner here. We've got Andre Alfonso looking to take the position back. He thinks better of it. He's going to hang on to the position he's got and wait for another lap here for a better opportunity to pass. But he does not have any time to relax because he's got the car of Andrew Jaski right behind him looking up the inside there. Folks, it doesn't get better than this. This is what motorsport is all about. The close battles, the back and forth between drivers who are all equally skilled with one another. And this is what is exciting about it. If anybody's ever wondered, it's watching stuff like this happen. I need to take a drink of water or I'm going to shout myself hoarse. Update on the battle for second. It is now being led by Oscar Liu. He did get around Michael Yaknes, has pulled a half-second gap, which is shrinking at the moment. Daniel Wright still in first, but that is going to be Daniel Wright 1, Oscar Liu 2, Michael Yaknes 3. Next closest car is going to be Jeff Cohn, 10 seconds behind for 4th place. So we're going to keep our eyes here on this battle for 5th place, as it looks like we may have a 4th car entering the equation. And that is going to be the car of Mark Sunsenlap. And actually, it looks like we're going to have another drag race down into the second of the final 2 corners here between Andre Alfonso and Spencer Brown. Or no, excuse me, Andrew Jaski. And it looks like that is actually going to be Andrew Jaski gets the inside line. Let's see if he's able to hang on to it. Carried a lot of speed in the middle of that corner, actually. I don't think there's anything Alfonso could do about it. And that is going to be another successful pass. Now, Andrew Jaski 6, Andre Alfonso 7. And in just 2 laps, he's gone from 5th to 7th. He's got some work to do if he's going to get that position back. And now he's got Spencer Brown chasing him down from 8th place up into 7th. We'll see if our AM is able to split up the pro lead right now again. But we are going to keep our eyes here on the battle between Andrew Jaski and Alfonso. Right now, it is the closest on the track. Chat, y'all having as much fun as I am? I'm about to lose my voice, and we're only 20 minutes into this race. I love it. Oh, man, I had to catch my breath there. Ooh, we've got a yellow flag from Kriegs. Looks like he might have just gotten a little bit wide there. Yeah, no contact reported in the highlights, so that is good. But we've got actually a very tight pack behind us while we're watching this battle for 6th. It's one thing to pay attention to. If you look at the map over on the right hand, $10 Moose has to recover his voice by 30 minutes. Probably, yeah. All that vocal training that I've done growing up is really paying off in spades right now. Otherwise, I would probably already have a dead voice. But one thing to pay. Oh, my goodness. Hold on. What happened? Oscar Liu picking up a drive-through penalty, which must mean track limit violation. Oh, no. And that is a devastating penalty to pick up for our 2nd place driver, our race winner at Bathurst. There it is, announced to the server. Drive-through picked up 4 track limits. That is an unfortunate penalty to pick up. That does mean that they are going to lose probably 4 or 5 positions having to serve a drive-through, and they can't fulfill their mandatory pit stop now that the pit window is open. That is unfortunate for our 2nd place driver. We'll see what they're able to do with it. But they're going to have some work to do if they want to get back up into 2nd place. Let's take a look at the back of the pack right now. Jeff Fleischman is going to get some screen time because he is under fire from, oh man, that's right. That's the name I can't pronounce. Mark, in the number 14 BMW. Oh, I went too far forward. There we go. Let's get Jeff back in the picture here as these 2 cars are charging down the pit straight, going to come down into the first corner. I don't think that BMW behind is in striking distance, but might be depending on how these corners go for Jeff. He is going to miss the 2nd corner. He's going to have to run into the runoff here, and that is going to allow Mark to get around on the inside there. And that is going to be a position gained for the number 14 BMW. Now Jeff has some work to try and get that position back. Does not look like it cost him too much, but that is going to be a 2.5 gap now that he's got to remake and a position to regain here in order to get himself back up into 19th. We're going to take a look at Spencer Brown. I'm not sure what just happened there. I just saw his gap go from very, very small to now it's not so small. I think that's just the game doing what it does best, and that's confusing me by not having very clear splits. Oh, that reminds me. I got to give you all the link to Pit Link. Man, what am I doing? In case anybody wants to watch the splits in real time, let me get those pulled up for you. Also, just going to use this as an excuse for me to try and not murder my voice here. 37 minutes left here in Italy. Looking like the weather's going to stay nice and clean. Warm day here. Nice and sunny. A little bit of overcast, keeping the track from getting too warm, which is good for tire life for our drivers. Daniel Wright setting a new fastest lap. 142.18, which is just ridiculous. Does look like we have the first of our drivers heading into the pits. Looks like Andrew Jaski, Ice Tin, and Santos are going to be the first to serve their mandatory pits. Anybody who is newcomer here, there's a 20-minute window in the middle of the race where these drivers must enter the pit lane and change their tires. It is mandatory. They all have to do it, and they have this 20-minute window to do it. So those first 4 drivers now in there, looks like they're joined by Joshua Kimball in the number 978 BMW, are getting that out of the way early. And if my colleague Fred were on, he would be telling them that they are doing it wrong. Generally, the strategy is to run as long as possible. We'll see if it pays off for our drivers here. But Daniel Wright doing an excellent job of making sure that that gap between him and Oscar Liu does not get smaller with a 2.6 second gap. And as we saw earlier, that was much, much smaller. So consistency of Daniel Wright really shining through here. I want to see Oscar Liu dive into the pits. Please don't forget. Okay, yeah. All right. So Oscar Liu on the in lap here, going to serve that drive-through most likely. In fact, he has to, unless he wants to pick up a monumental penalty. Okay, yeah, so he's doing the thing. I'm glad he got the memo. His pit crew's keeping him up to date. Yeah, I just saw the chat. Yeah, unfortunately, Liu did pick up the track limit drive-through. Not going to be an easy penalty to shake off, but we'll see if anybody's able to pick up some points here. It is going to be Oscar Liu, as we saw at Bathurst, is able to sneak in victories out of nowhere. Spencer Brown currently overtaking, looks like whatever. Oh, it was Jaski out in front of him who served a pit stop. Okay. Oh, no. Oh, no. That is a stop and go 30 handed to Oscar Liu while he is serving his drive-through for speeding in the pit lane. Oh, no. And another one picked up. Drive-through for speeding in the pit lane for Joshua Kimball, not a stop and go 30. I'm not sure why Oscar is going to get the stop and go 30 instead. Did he not serve? No, it was definitely handed to him for speeding in pit lane. Not sure what happened there. That is remarkably unfortunate for who was our second place driver just a couple of laps ago. Let's take a look at Spencer Brown, who's actually currently under fire from Oscar Liu. If I were to offer any advice to Spencer Brown, if you're listening, get out of the way. Just don't fight it. You're both going to lose time. Just lift on a straight, let him go. There you go. All right. You love to see it. No collisions between those two drivers. Oscar can go worry about the drive-through he's got to serve. Or excuse me, not even a drive-through. It's a stop and go 30. God damn, that's rough. That's rough. But we are at the point of the race now where it's going to be difficult for me to tell who is where on the grid, because now that we have staggered pit stops and schedules here, the leaderboards are going to be a little bit messed up. So we are just going to be looking for close driving here. But for the next 14 minutes, we really have no idea who's where. So we're just going to be looking around, seeing if there are any cars stacked right on top of each other. And sure enough, they are. Nick Schwartz is going to be taking some pressure from Ferrari behind him. The camera angle doesn't do a great job of showing it there, but there we go. He's got 2 BMWs practically stacked on top of one another. It looks like 2 just out in front. That's going to be Spencer Brown being chased down by Cody Barrett. And those 2 actually, that is going to be legitimately for position. So that we're going to think we'll probably hop back up here in just a second. Oh, there's Oscar Liu serving the stop and go. Right when I clicked to change cars, it locked in on him. But folks, we are approaching the halfway mark here. Just 3 minutes to go until there are only 30 minutes left here in Italy. And it has been an exciting race from start to finish. And actually, we got to hop a couple cars back because Nick Schwartz has that BMW right on top of him again. And they're really getting close to each other. And it looks like there was a yellow flag wave. The number 12 car out in the runoff there. We just missed it on cameras there. And actually, they're going to have it towed back to the pits. Let's see, who was that? That was the number 12 car of who? Of Cody? No, of Spencer Brown, really? Yep, actually, so yeah, that was Spencer Brown out in the runoff, and that is going to be a race retirement from our AM leader in the race. Not sure what happened there. Not sure if they just picked up a ton of damage from a collision or what. I don't see an accident in the highlights log here, so I'm not sure what happened there. But that is Spencer Brown no longer in contention for this race. We're down to 22 cars now, folks. All right, let's find another couple of cars that are racing right now. We are at the stage of the race now. If you look at the track map up in the top right of your screen here, right underneath the weather, you can see quite a bit of space between these cars, but I'm seeing something starting to develop with Andrew Jaski here as Oscar Liu hot on his tail. And let's see, Oscar Liu is not going to be for position because Oscar Liu now, even though he's been in the pit lane twice, still has a mandatory pit stop that he has to serve and has 11 minutes left to do it, 12 minutes left to do it. And if I were him, I'd probably be waiting as long as I could to get that out of the way, going from second down to 16th, and almost certainly going to lose some more positions trying to get that pit lane or pit stop served. Yeah, we're seeing the splits do some funny stuff here as people are crossing the start-finish line, passing other cars. So we're going to keep our eyes here on Andrew Jaski, even though this is not for position here. Oscar Liu really putting some pressure on him here. So he is going to have to be focusing as hard as he can. And honestly, it's going to be one of those things where if I were him, I'd be trying to just not be in the way. But you also can't afford to slow down too much to let another car pass, considering that Andrew Jaski has already served his pit stop. He's got some cars to pass who have not yet served theirs, so really every second counts here, and as predicted, Oscar Liu is going to stay out as long as possible, really try to capitalize in the final 11 minutes he has left before he has to serve that mandatory pit stop. Try and gain as much time as he can while he's got tires that are in the operating range. All right, and these two are going to have kind of an interesting rejoin with the track. Got somebody exiting the pit here who's going to be on cold tires. Might just want to get out of the way here. Oscar Liu, gets a good run on the inside there, and that is going to allow him to run side by side with Andrew Jaski coming around. And actually, it looks like Andrew is just going to get that position back now. Oscar Liu is going to be fighting to get around that car that just left the pit lane. And who is that out in front of us? Is that something lap? I don't think it is. I can't see the car number because the camera's out of focus. Let's see here. That is... looks like the number 66 car. Is that right? No. No, it is. Yeah, that's Max something lap. I was getting confused because it's 166 and 66 right on top of each other. I couldn't tell who was who, but that is going to be Max Sunsenlap in the 66 BMW. He's going to let Oscar Liu get around there on the outside. Good call for everybody. The fewest number of people lose time, but now the number 11 car has entered the chat. That is going to be Jeff Cohn in second place, who is going to be competing now with these cars who are all going to be blue flagged, like I mentioned at the beginning of the race. Unlike in other motorsport, a blue flag does not mean you are obliged to give the position up. It just means you can't defend when they go for the passing maneuver. So really, that number 11 BMW is at the mercy of the car out in front, who gets a good entry into the second of the final corner. It looks like they're going to get a good exit there. Yep, really getting out on the outside of those rumble strips, and they're going to be in the tow of Oscar Liu out there in front, who still needs to serve that mandatory pit stop. But it looks like we're going to have a drag race down to the first corner here, as we're going to see that is going to be Jeff Cohn on the outside there. He's going to look for the inside going into the first corner. Let's see if he's able to get it. It does look like, yep, Andrew Jaski making the smart decision is going to let that faster car get around him when it is easy to do so. Both cars are going to lose the least amount of time handling it that way. And now he's going to have Andrew Jaski, who's going to be looking for that 15th position from Max Sunsenlap. Another thing to remember, we've got about half the field who has not served their mandatory pit stops yet, so these positions are not yet locked in stone. We'll see where they come out once they've finished getting around their pit stops, but Oscar Liu doing some interesting maneuvering there, trying to get around some slower traffic, and doing so, making it look easy, as now he's got Fife in his sights here. I say Fife. Joshua Kimball is the name that you're going to see on stream. In the Apollo Racing Club mods car, runs a little bit wide on Aqua Minerale. Oscar Liu wasting no time to take advantage of that. Screams right past him there on the inside. And this is what we're talking about when we call these guys aliens. They try things that human beings wouldn't. Let's go ahead and get the camera focus here on Joshua Kimball as we've got quite the train showing up behind him. And we're going to have some tight racing here. I'm looking around the field. We do have some pretty tight gaps developing here. But again, until we're finished with these pit stops, we don't know how many of them are for position or not. Joshua Kimball letting another car pass there on the inside. Oh, and that was the car of Jeff Cohn, who is now going to go ahead and serve his mandatory pit stop. We'll see where he comes back out in the standings here. We've got a little bit of a train of cars here developing behind the 101 car. Let's see who that belongs to. That is going to be Jan Stam. This is the one that we were looking at delivery a little bit ago. Just look at that BMW. Ooh, you'll love to see it. And actually, we've got a lot of cars stacked right on top of each other right now. Craig Bray under fire from, it looks like, Andrew Jaski, who just, I think, got around him. Or did I click? Nope. That's the splits being dumb again and changing on me right when I'm going to click on somebody. Here we are. So now we've got Craig Bray and Nick Schwartz battling it out for 14th place. This is going to be for position. Both drivers have served their mandatory pit stop. God, that hairpin is brutal. So one thing I want to point out, this has been a very drama-free race from our drivers so far. I do see a couple of light taps between drivers, but it doesn't look like anything that resulted in somebody being punted off of the track here. Which is good for our drivers. Oh no, another stop and go 30, and it's picked up by Jeff Cohn, who just entered the pit lane to serve his mandatory pit stop, is going to pick up another pit stop that he's going to have to serve with a stop and go 30. That is going to be the second one we've seen handed out this race. That is an unfortunate penalty for Jeff Cohn, who was making very, very good use of his time waiting to serve that pit stop, is now going to have to serve a second one by being on the brakes just a hair too late. That is another thing that they did recently in the most recent update of this game. It used to be you really could cheat the system with those pit stops. Basically, as long as you got it down to the speed limit before the rear axle crossed the line, you were good. It's gotten much more strict now. Another one of our Apollo Racing mod staff here, Melon Pitch, is the one who organizes the GT4 League for us, who races on Thursday nights. Me and my buddies really laid into him because he had a very good track record for just barely sneaking into the pit lane in time with the right speed limit. We figured that was going to be the end of his racing career, but he seems to have made the adjustment pretty well. But let's take a look at this pack of cars here. We're actually going to hop up in our helicopter here and just take a look at this because we've got enough cars right next to one another where we might as well take a look at them all at the same time. And these are all going to be for position, folks. So this is going to be, let's see, that is Ayrton Green out in front of this pack. Excuse me, no, Spencer Brown out in front of this pack, leading it off. And that is followed by Ayrton Green, Andrew Jaski, and our Ferraria. And that looks like, yep, Fife running off wide to let the racing traffic around in Aqua Minerale. Good place to do it. And let's actually, let's hop on board with Andrew Jaski. He's got some company here, but or maybe not on board. Let's see. I'm trying to find two people who are really on top of each other so we can see just how hard these guys are having to fight. And I think I see it here if I can find them over on my splits here. Jeff Fleischman is battling it out with, looks like, Mark here. The one I can't, oh man, I really want to try the last name, but I also really don't. Hit me up in the DMs after the race. If you watch the stream, Mr. Mark, tell me how to say your name, please, so I don't have to keep doing this for the rest of the season, because there's no shot in hell of getting that one right. Ooh, got some action in the first corner here. It looks like I got back here just in time. Max Southern-Lap is going to be under fire from Andrew Jaski as they go side by side in the middle of that S-complex. Very risky maneuver from him, but it looks like it paid off as he does pick up a position. But there's still another BMW on the inside line there as they come into the second of the S's here. And that is going to be one position gained there for Andrew Jaski, who's now going to be leading off this battle for 8th place. No, excuse me, it is a battle for 7th place because that is going to be Ayrton Green out in front of this train of cars growing a little bit of a gap there. So a quick update on our current top two for those of you who are watching the leaderboard. We've got Daniel Wright and Cody Barrett still have yet to serve their mandatory pit stops here and have 2 minutes and 43 seconds left to do so. For right now, that is going to be Daniel Wright and Cody Barrett in first and second position, but that might change depending on how their pit stops go. Let's see here. Cody Barrett, the number 27 car who we're watching right now. Next car for position is Michael Yaknes, who is 4.5 turns behind. I don't think that's a 30-second gap, though. I don't have an accurate split yet, so I don't think he's going to hang on to second place, Cody Barrett. Let's see where I think he's going to spit out. It's going to be about a minute or so spent in the pit lane, which I think might put him in the top 10. We'll see. Daniel Wright going into the pits right now, actually getting his tire changed right now. Cody Barrett will probably follow in this lap because I don't think he'll have time. No, he will not have enough time if he doesn't go in now to serve his mandatory pit stop before the pit window ends. So he's got to get in there now or he's getting in there never. We're going to hop back on with Ayrton Green here. The battle for 7th place, not exactly heating up, but it is at a solid simmer right now as we're watching the gaps not getting any bigger or any smaller, but Ayrton Green, a bit of a mistake, runs wide out into the sand there. That's going to slow him down coming in there, which is going to tighten up the gap to Andrew Jaski behind, who has another car. Ooh, a light tap there from the other BMW of our Ferrari. Gets the inside quarter panel of Andrew Jaski, almost spins the car around, but Andrew's able to hang on to it. Coming up over the hill, you can see those two are going to be drag racing into the next of the couple of corners here, but that inside line is going to be advantageous for Ferrari here. But now the advantage is going to be Andrew Jaski coming in at Aqua Minerale with the inside line. Let's see what he's able to do with it. Oh, and that's going to be Renato Ferrari getting a little bit loose on the back end, and that is all it takes, just spinning the back tires and loses control of the car, manages to keep it from spinning all the way around. But that is going to be Andrew Jaski getting a position and now has a commanding lead to the next car in 10th place of Mark Sunkenlap. Mac Sunkenlap, excuse me. All right, Cody Barrett in the pits right now, so let's keep an eye on him. Looks like Michael Yaknes already gotten around. We knew he was going to lose at least 5 or 6 positions here. Let's see where he spits out when we see that P go away next to his name. Looking for the next closest battle for position. It's going to be these 4 cars we've got on camera right now, so it is going to be our Ferrari and Andrew Jaski battling for 7th. The split's just updated. And Max Sunkenlap and our Ferrari battling it out for 9th, just a little bit behind. You can see them out of focus there in the back of the camera shot. All right, that is the pit window closed. That is 20 minutes remaining in this race here at Imola in Italy. And Cody Barrett makes his way back out on the track after his pit stop. Is going to be, I think that's 10th place. I think that is pretty solidly 10th place for Cody Barrett. Let's see. Nope, 12th. Where is he? I don't see him on the track map. I'll look again in 2 minutes, and then we'll know for sure. Daniel Wright has a commanding lead right now. It's almost not worth looking at. Let's see. He's got a 20-second gap to Michael Yaknes and a 30-second gap to Andre Alfonso. And actually, there's something I didn't expect to see. Andre Alfonso has made his way up into 3rd place from, was previously, I thought we were watching him battle it out for 5th. So remarkable performance from Andre Alfonso. Let's go ahead and get him some camera time. But not far behind him, actually. The battle for 6th place is heating up. Ayrton Green has Andrew Jaski in the rearview mirror, is going to be putting some pressure on him. Don't see him quite in this camera shot, but you can hear him. Is going to be right on top of him in a couple of corners if Andrew is able to keep up the pace here. Gets the back end a little bit loose there, smacks it back into control. That is going to cost him a little bit of the speed that he needed in order to try and close that gap to the car out in front, but I think he's close enough to be getting a little bit of a tow behind that other BMW of our Japanese driver here. Not quite enough to where he's going to be able to make a move on the inside of turn 1, but you can see he's lining himself up to try and get a good exit of the exit, and it's going to work for him because Ayrton Green is going to get too much of that inside curbing, and it's going to throw his car out into the sand on the runoff, and that is going to be a successful pass for Andrew Jaski. Right as I was saying, he was setting up a nice conservative line there to have a good exit of that S-complex, It was exactly what he needed because a mistake from the car out in front allowed for an easy pass for him. And that is going to be now Andrew Jaski 6, Ayrton Green 7, as we charge up into the hill before Aqua Minerale. And something I am keeping an eye on, folks, are going to be the lap times out of Daniel Wright, if anything, just because it's honestly remarkable how quick he's doing this. But now that he has got fresh rubber and a lighter fuel load than when he started the race, we're going to see what his actual lap times are going to look like. But Michael Yaknes not going to be making it easy for him, as he just said it looks like his race best of a 142.19, and is going to be trying to close that gap to Daniel Wright. Let's hop back a little bit. Ice Tin has been getting some camera time here. He's got, looks like that's Krieg's right behind him. And actually, that looks like he just passed Krieg's, because the splits say that it's Craig in front, Ice Tin behind. But what we're looking at in reality is Ice Tin in front. So it looks like we just missed a pass there. We'll see if Krieg's has anything to say about it coming around these final two corners. Doesn't look like it. Back end getting a little bit loose there for Ice Tin. Manages to wrangle it back into control before he lost it there and put it into the sand. But we're going to see the splits update here. That is going to be Ice Tin 10. Krieg's 11. Looks like Cody Barrett in the middle of a pack of three here. That's going to be led off by Dylan Kaiser as he gets passed on the outside by Joshua Kimball there. Almost making it look easy. Diving up the inside, getting very close to that rear bumper of Dylan Kaiser. But it looks like because he got so close to that other BMW, he had to sacrifice his exit there. So Fife does lose that advantage he had right on top of Dylan Kaiser there. And it does look like now it is going to be a battle for 13th with Cody Barrett. And is that Nick Schwartz? Yeah, Nick Schwartz right behind him. Ooh. So there's a surprise. So Oscar Liu, after all of the penalties and shenanigans with his pit stops, currently running in P18, however, just set the fastest lap of the race with a 142.115. That is going to be 5/100ths of a second faster than Daniel Wright. Might be able to get that bonus point if we're still doing them for fastest lap of the race. And salvage just a couple of points for himself here in the standings. Really got on the inside there, Cody Barrett, and you can see how much it hurt his exit there, as Fife is going to make no hesitation trying to make a run for the outside there, but not the line to have coming around these two corners. Yep, because yeah, the outside is faster, and it's where you want to be to line up for these last two corners. When you see Cody Barrett has the better line, that is going to allow him to very easily put a gap back between him and Fife. Or, man, I keep wanting to call him Fife. That's his screen name, Joshua Kimball. All right, let's see here. Looking for other close battles for position on the track. As we are nearing the later stages of the race, everybody's going to be about as spaced out as they're going to be, which does make it a little bit hard. I heard somebody hit the sand there. I don't see who it was. Maybe that was just an audio bug. It sounded like somebody missed the corner there, but let's hop up to the number 82 car of Ayrton Green. There's going to be two folks in matching BMW is going to be battling it out for, looks like, 7th place. And it's going to be between Ayrton Green and Renato Ferreira. It looks just as I look away, though, we can see Craig Bray back under fire from another car. It looks like Dylan Kaiser. Wait, didn't... No. Ice Tin got around Krieg's, not Dylan behind. But now Dylan is going to be fighting for that 11th position. Just a little over a second in the gap there, but we'll see what they're able to do with it. 13 minutes left here at Imola. Not a lot of time left for our drivers to make any changes in their in the standings here. So all of these, close battles, what few of them we have that remain at this point. Spencer Brown, your wheel broke. No. Oh, that is such a bummer. When you say broke, how broke are we talking? Because, like, obviously I'm upset to hear, oh, I had a force feedback problem and my car went off the track. But when you say broke, how bad are we talking here? You know, and for any of the naysayers out there who are like, oh, you don't have to deal with nearly as many problems as you do as a real motorsport. Yeah, okay, that's probably fair, but dumb stuff happens to us too, okay? Like our wheels stop working or somebody accidentally kicks their brake pedal across the room. There are mechanical failures in sim racing too, folks. Like I think Forever broke. Ooh, that's unfortunate, bud. Definitely hit up the Discord. There are some wizards in there who might be able to revive it a little bit for you. In fact, consider me a resource. I'm pretty good at fixing stuff like that. I mean, at the end of the day, man, it does come down to luck. Luck is a very prevalent statistic in motorsport. All right, we're going to hop over to the number 25 car, Jess Fleischman, who's under fire now, is going to be putting on a defense for 16th place here with 11 minutes left in the race. Got two cars close in tow. One of them, gets a little bit loose there on the outside. Actually, what is their car number? Is that for position? That's not Oscar Liu behind them. No, definitely is not. I'm not sure who that is wedged between them. Come on, give me a car number, game. Ends with 37. Is that Andre Lloyd? It is Andre Lloyd. Okay. Currently sitting in P21. But we're going to keep an eye on these two right now. It is our closest battle for position on the track. And we're going to see what these two drivers are able to do. 11 minutes left here in Italy. Not a lot of time left for our drivers, but plenty of time for really anything to happen. Ooh, we can see that number 14 car gets a little bit better of an exit there, and he's going to have the inside line. Now, if he can tuck in behind, I don't know about that. He's going to go for a lunge on the inside. I think he is. But Jeff Fleischman's going to shut that down, really closes off that inside line that the other BMW was looking for in the back end, gets a little bit squirrely there, and that is going to allow Jeff Fleischman to get an uncontested charge up into the apex of the hairpin, one of the most challenging corners here. And as you can see, the other two BMWs behind him struggling for grip with the rear end of their cars. And that is going to allow Jeff to get some of the pressure off of him and just focus on trying to finish this lap as quickly, or this race as quickly as he can. As we can see, looks like Andre Lloyd runs a little bit wide there on the runoff. Very easy to do in those high-speed corners, especially coming up over the hill. The car is basically unloaded as far as the weight is concerned. Really tough to get the grip down, as we can see there. But Oscar Liu is about to enter the chat here. Actually, excuse me, that's not Oscar Liu. That is Daniel Wright. Our race leader is getting ready to approach the cars we're watching here. Let's keep an eye on him, because this is going to be exciting here. Anybody who's looking for a masterclass on how to pass blue flags, you're about to get one here. Okay, looks like Andre Lloyd is going to let him pass. Good call. And folks, my voice is about to get out. I'm trying to hold on to it so we can get to the end of the race here. But I am running out of steam here. It has been an exciting race to all of our drivers. If you end up watching this, thank you for making my job so easy and killing my voice. All right, let's take a look at somebody else. We got the number 82 car of Ayrton Green again in the spotlight. This battle for 7th place, heating back up between him and Renato Ferreira. As we watch these identical BMWs with their stock liveries try and fight it out with 8.5 minutes left of this race. And we might have time yet for another overtake. Really, I'm going to say a really bumpy entry there for Ayrton Green and a little bit of a sketchy exit there. We'll see if that means anything for the car behind. Maybe gain a couple of tenths. That does look like what's happening. That exit really does hurt you when you're going downhill like this into this corner. And we can see now they are getting closer still. Little dab of brakes there to steady up the car for Ayrton Green, but that is going to let that other BMW get ever so closer as they come down the pit straight. Not quite close enough, I think, for the other BMW to get a tow here. But let's watch under braking how much closer they're going to get. Ooh. Ferrari really pushing to try and get every inch that he can on Ayrton Green here. Does not look like it's going to happen in the first of the S's, but there is still another complex for them there. We saw that was a blue flag car there on the outside that those two were passing. Ooh, really got inside there. Got to be careful with those. That's going to be a track limit warning for sure for Ayrton Green. And folks, right now, this is our closest battle for position before this race ends, so we are going to hang out with these two unless I see that change. Let's see, actually, Jeff Fleischman's got a very tight gap to him as well, but I don't think it's for position. No, in fact, it is not, so we're going to hang out with these two here. All right, 7 minutes left here, and we are going to be entering the final stages of this race, and potentially the most difficult that these drivers are going to have to deal with. Not only is their tire life going to be falling off if they've been pushing, but they also have the least amount of weight in the car, which, while that does improve lap times, depending on the setup, can make the car a little bit more skittish, and sometimes even a little bit looser, because they don't have that extra weight helping them hold the tires to the pavement. Oh, and you can see the back end there getting loose from Ferrari there. Has to put a dab of the brakes there to bring it back under control. And unfortunately, that could not have come at a worse part of the track now, as that is the exit into one of the longest uninterrupted straights of the track. Really hurts their top speed by the end, and now you can see what was currently a very close position for battle. Now those two cars barely in the same camera shot. Not a lot of time left for Ferrari to try and get that time back, with now just 6 minutes left in the race here. Dylan Kaiser has some company. That's going to be from Craig Bray, and this is actually for position, so we're going to hang out here. Looks like we had Rick Reeder back out of the race now, down to 21 cars, and this is now going to be between Dylan Kaiser and Craig Bray, who are going to be in a drag race down coming into this series of S's here. Kriegs does get the inside line. Let's see if he's able to hang in. There's going to be contact between the two cars. Dylan collects the back end of Craig there, does the sportsman-like thing, though, and yields the position back. Oh, no, and then a messy rejoin into the side of the number 58 BMW. Who is that going to be there? That is going to be... Oh, man, why can't I find it here? They're not on my leaderboard. Oh, it might have been 88. Might have been Mason Burt. I don't think I saw anybody leave there. Or I read the number wrong. Maybe it was 48. I don't know. I didn't see who was involved there. Not good news for anybody, though. That is just an unfortunate rejoin there. But those things do happen. Still, gonna give the sportsman hats off there to Dylan for giving the position back to Kriegs after that contact there. You do love to see stuff like that happening. Ooh, it actually looks like we got another very, very tight battle there developing behind us here. As soon as I can figure out who it is, it's going to be Nick Schwartz and I think Jeff Cohn. Which is surprising because we saw Jeff Cohn very, very quick pace here. Not sure. Oh, that's right. They picked up that drive-through penalty. That's what happened. But now that this is for position, it's not a blue flag now. Nick Schwartz has every right to defend this as well as he can. But looks like Jeff's going to take a look on the outside here as they charge down into the first corner. Has the inside. That is going to be the place to be for a successful overtake. And yep, worst time to get hiccups. Sure enough, that is going to be a position gained for that passing BMW there, but might not be able to hang on to it coming into the second of the S's here because we saw their bad exit for Jeff Cohn there. Because the back end got a little bit squiggly there, but not going to be enough for Nick Schwartz to be able to take that position back. And that is going to be another position gained for Jeff Cohn. Now sitting in P13, Nick Schwartz P14. And looks like the number 999 car has some company here. I don't know if that's for position. It is for position. So another thing I want to draw your attention to, look at the colors of the car numbers there on the leaderboard on the left-hand side. Remember, white cars are going to be our pro drivers. Red is going to be our AM split. And Jan Stam, our AM driver, now sitting in P4. getting ready to finish up this race, and that might actually be a position they're able to hang on to. It does look like Arthur Chu might try and take it away from him, but with just 3 minutes left, maybe 2 laps left in this race, I don't know if there's going to be enough time for anything to happen here. So if you're Andre Alfonso, I think you're just driving as clean of laps as you can, and when the time comes, then start defending. Daniel Wright, no surprise, is charging away with that first place finish. Oscar Liu, unfortunately, not battling it for second, but you can see there in the background, currently still hanging on to that fastest lap, despite the fact that Daniel Wright did manage to find a tenth of a second in that lap time. Not to be outdone, Oscar Liu does then continue to set a faster lap with a 141.5, almost a half a second faster a lap than Daniel Wright right now. But unfortunately from P15, not sure that's going to matter all too much as far as trying to catch up to Daniel Wright, although we might see the two of them battle it out in the end of these couple of laps. Although it won't be for position, it will be exciting for sure. Okay, let's see here. We've got a couple of people that are stacked right on top of one another. Let's see. Yeah, here Arthur Chu and Andrew Jaski here going to be battling it out for 5th place. 5th place has been hotly contested this race, and actually, runs a little bit wide there goes Arthur Chu, and that's going to allow what was an unconventional exit there from Andrew Jaski, really riding that inside curb there. Allows him to get inside and pass Arthur Chu for 5th place with just 2 corners left in the lap now. Minute 30 left. Any second now we're going to hear the white flag waved to signify that Daniel Wright has started the final lap of the race. We're just waiting for that now. But Arthur Chu now has his sights set on 5th place and probably only has 2 laps left to do it in. Another train of cars is developing here behind the number 453 car. And I almost don't know that's going to be Michael Yaknes. I don't think that's going to be for position, unless that's Afonso. No, it's not Afonso behind. I think that's Nick Schwartz. But Michael Yaknes putting on a great drive here. Nice and consistent, has hung on to that 2nd place position for practically the entire race. Putting on an excellent performance. Jan Stam, currently our 1st place in our AM standings this race. Oh no! I was going to say being chased down by Andrew Jaski, who we just saw put the front of their car into the wall there. And that was a big hit too. And with the leader on the final lap, could not have come at a worse time now. Oh, and we've got another yellow flag. Craig Bray off the track there in the runoff. Not on the runoff, facing the wrong way around. Gets the car spun around just in time to allow another car to pass. There goes Oscar Liu around him as well. Well managed by Craig Bray there. Back on the track and going around. And we've got another car off the track there on the inside. Is going to have to let him around as well. 6 seconds left on the timer. Andre Alfonso is going to be under some pressure from Jan Stam here, as this is going to come down to a battle for 3rd place from our amateur driver. And folks, there are, I'm sure, other battles going on, but I don't want to look away from this one because this one is going to be the most consequential. So this is going to be an AM driver going to be fighting against a pro driver for 3rd place if they're able to hang on to it. I know the timer says 0, but they have another lap until they complete their race. And it is going to come down to the wire for these two drivers. Right now, Andre Alfonso with enough of a gap to where all he has to do is just get the car around the track safely, and he'll hang on to this. And Jan Stam, let's take a look at what he's seeing here. We're going to go ahead and hop to the helmet cam. That is what he's looking at. That is 3rd place right in front of him. He can almost touch it. He's got to catch that car out in front, and he's got 1 lap left to do it. That is the pressure that this driver is having to deal with. And you can look just how fast they are throwing it around these corners. 110 kilometers an hour coming around that corner, coming into this hairpin, hard on the brakes from 180 down to less than 100 in less than a half a second. This driver is having to get these car around the corners. You can see the corrective opposite lock there, trying not to lose the outside of the car. Up to 200, coming up over the hill, and it is blind coming over that hill, folks. You cannot see a thing. Hard onto the brakes, throws it into that left-hander. And now coming down to Aqua Minerale, that car is not getting any closer. I bet he wishes it was. 220 kilometers an hour, down into 160. You really just cannot imagine how much work these drivers are having to do to try and get these cars around these corners, just slow down in time, and maintaining the grip on tires that are going to be worn at this point. Not a lot of time left for our driver here to try and get that third place finish. It's looking like it is going to be a P3 finish for Andre Alfonso, followed by Jan Stam. Our race leader, Daniel Wright, has finished in first place. No surprises there. Now it is going to come down to who gets to finish in third. A mistake here out of Alfonso could mean a third place finish for our amateur driver, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And that is going to be third place unless something ridiculous happens for Andre Alfonso, followed by a fourth place finish by an amateur driver, Jan Stam. Very, very strong performance. And that is also going to be followed up by a fifth place finish not long after by Arthur Chu. Andrew Jaski, despite picking up some severe front end damage there right on the final lap, is going to finish in front of our Ferraria, who had been battling it for a while in that race, to finish in sixth. Our Ferraria in seventh. Arton Green in eighth. Max Sunkenlap in ninth, and Ice Tin to round out our top 10. Cody Barrett and Nick Schwartz still racing it out right now, although not close enough to where we're going to see a position change. But those are going to be the final two cars to cross the line here. And that is the race. One more time, let's go ahead and take a look at that leaderboard. It is going to be Daniel Wright in first, Michael Yaknes in second, Andre Alfonso in third, Jan Stam in fourth, Arthur Chu in fifth, Andrew Jaski in sixth, Renato Ferraria in seventh, Ayrton Green in eighth, Max Sunkenlap in ninth, and Ice Tin to round out the top 10. Folks, what a race that was. Oh my goodness. Exciting from start to finish. Big ups to Daniel Wright for a very commanding first place finish. Once I saw those lap times in free practice, I knew what was going to happen. There was no question. But big congratulations to him. Also to our fourth place finisher from the AM split. Love to see our amateurs making their way up higher in the leaderboard. You got to be careful doing that too many times though, because you might find yourself in the pro split if you do it too many times in a row, as we have seen a couple times here at Apollo. But that is going to do it for me tonight. Next week, we are going to have an off week. There's going to be a break, so we will not be streaming next weekend. However, we will be back on the week after that. Let me look at what race is on the schedule. I should probably know that off the top of my head. I sure don't, though. There we go. I'm getting there. There's the schedule. So once we're done with Imola, we come back for round 4. It is going to be at Hungaroring, personal favorite of mine. Very short track, a very tight track. And if we can get some turnout like we had today, should be very, very exciting to watch. But to everybody who joined me, whether from start to finish or somewhere in between, thank you so much. If you'd like to see us, we have streams, I think, every day of the week at this point, not just in the GT3 cars like we were watching today, but in F1. I think we have an IndyCar league as well. We've got the GT4 cars in Assetto Corsa Competizione as well. There really is something to watch for everybody. So if that sounds like something that would interest you, make sure you go ahead and hit us with the follow. Make sure the notifications are on. That way you won't miss anything. But we will not be here next Saturday, but the Saturday after that, I hope to see you all. We'll be here at a Hungaroring, and it should be a very exciting race. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and I will talk to you in a couple of weekends.